Hi everyone, my name is Boris. I am a rock musician and I'm also a software engineer. So what I want to talk about today is how to get to where people like Bruce is. How do you take the concept of passion and actually apply it to the things that you care about and you like. So because I was once like you, so let's get started. Here's me in 2002. This was me in grade 11. I did not really know what I was doing. What kind of sad. So probably the only difference between me and you here is that you don't like Nirvana. That's okay. So I was a big band geek, so I played the French horn. I played guitar. I sang in the school choir. I did a lot of music stuff, listened to tons and tons of records. And that was something that was always a part of me. And I was a giant computer geek as well. I built computers. I hacked things. I wrote lots of code, and so those are the things that I was interested in. I never really thought about where I'd be. I didn't start a business by the time I was 16. I was never a hustler, because that was just not something that occurred to me as a 16 and 17-year-old. I just did my own thing. I had fun. The only thing I thought was it wouldn't be cool to be a rock star and play music live all the time. I realized how much harder that is than to do what I'm doing right now. So taking my sweet time. So what did I end up doing? I went to the University of Waterloo and I studied software engineering. I did this because this was the safe choice. There's people falling asleep in this class, correct? So what interested me about software, I met some of my best friends there. I learned lots of cool stuff that I'm going to talk about a bit later. But I want to give you a bit about my background. I was born in Hong Kong. I immigrated here as a little kid, 8 years old, in 1993. And so there's always this, advice that I get. You got to be practical. You got to get a job. You got to, you can do music on the side. It's a cool hobby, that sort of thing. So I did. I didn't know if I went to study music. I didn't know if that would interest me. So I really like computers. So that's what I did. And I want to take a moment to refer to what Corey said earlier about the rat race. And it's not. You shouldn't think about it like this. The modern life, we're starting to eliminate this thing called the rat race, the grind, and working for the sake of working. I love Bruce's ending quote there about work. You do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And one of my favorite people, Stephen Fry, also said a very similar thing. What he said was that if he could tell his teenage self one thing, he would tell him that you should always work is play. Work is what you should be doing. If you're going to spend 50 weeks a year, 40 hours every week, or more, doing something, it better be something that you find rewarding and exciting and interesting. So it can still be hard work, but it should be something you're passionate and something you care about. And that is really, really important. Because the concept of working 40 hours and then going on vacation and then taking a break, and that means you're spending like 2 weeks a year having fun. That's silly, right? So, but I know this sounds all lofty and stuff, so let me take it down a level. There is no time limit to do this. And that's the secret that you guys, I want to share with you today. A lot of you are doing your university applications, your portfolios, and deadlines and due dates, and all those things are coming down. They're there for a reason, do them, but don't let it box you in, and don't let it be determine what you're supposed to do. Because it takes time to find what you're really, really passionate about, and it takes time to figure out what makes you click. And that's okay, and that shouldn't happen. It doesn't have to happen by the time you're 17. It doesn't have to happen by the time you're even my age, 37. So I want to talk about one of my favorite authors, Haruki Murakami. He is Japan's best-selling novelist. He's internationally acclaimed. He did not write his first novel until the age of 29. So all of you in the room, most of you in the room right now, could be the greatest novelist from Canada, right? So you can do whatever, and you can do the things that you like, and you just gotta have to spend the time to do it. And we as a society glorify youth and instant success and cheap rewards and things like that a lot. So the people who achieve instant success at the age of 26, like Mark Zuckerberg, is an outlier. So most great things that humans do, the greatest novels are written by our greatest writers at the age of 50 or something, right? Most things you do that are meaningful and are worth anything will take a lifetime of effort for you to achieve, right? And that's something you guys got to keep in your mind. Like, even when you're 30 and you still have 30, 50, hey, maybe technology will make it so that we'll live for 200 years. You have lots of time to do the things that you love. So take your time to really find it. Don't get caught in the rat race. Because all it's about is, where do you want to dedicate your lifetime of effort? Where do you want to play? So figure that out. And another thing is, there's no speed limit. This is something that all the TED speakers here today are going to tell you, is that if you have determination, you have drive, you can break the rules, okay? Do not let society and do not let the current world define what you can and cannot do, because the world is cynical, it's dark, it's weary, people are tired, and you are young and full of energy, you're vibrant and you're bright, and you're going to be the smartest generation of all time, hopefully. And that's what you guys have to realize, is that rules get broken all the time, right? People go through high school much faster and start a company at age 12, right? So there are no rules. So what I want to talk about is my good fortune in technology. So in school, one of the things I was taught was that there's lots of societal issues with technology, right? In my field, what we have been doing in the past is we make software when we build technology designed for experts, for people who know how to do it. You have to go to school to use Microsoft Word. You realize this, guys. Like, there was one point in people's lives that they had to go to class to type. And this is something that you take for granted, right? And so, my grandma uses a computer now. My grandma should not be using Windows because that is insane. But when something like this happens, we as entrepreneurs smell an opportunity, right? Design for everyone is not very common in technology, and you're starting to see in these last few years that world is instantly changing around it, because we had smartphones for like 5 years before the iPhone came out, and suddenly everybody's building these futuristic devices where all your music, movies, books, the internet, every single piece of knowledge in the world can be had in the palm of your hands. Think about that. If you show that to somebody in the past, you would be blown away, just like what Dr. Bob did earlier. So, having said that, here's my aha moment that Bruce mentioned. So, this made me really, really buckle down and think about the impact that I can possibly have, was the moment that I saw my parents Facebook my uncle. Okay, let me explain. My parents have been using computers for 20 years, okay, since the 80s. They could not type Chinese until they got their iPhones 2 years ago. So that means they've been communicating with the folks back home in English or on telephone, and it's extremely frustrating to me that this wasn't done earlier. Like, I could have worked on that, right? And that's what made me say, hey, I can. And that's what inspires me and drives me, is that I can create all these happy moments for people in technology. And that was my aha moment. And I hope you guys find yours too, and realize that there's no rules. You just have to look for those things. And here's the other thing. So how do you go from A to B? Passion comes from hard work. Here's the disconnect that might not be apparent. Passion is not something that you just pluck out of the sky and you're suddenly excited about something. I don't believe in that, because I am what is known as a late bloomer. So passion comes from hard work, and when you work hard at something you sort of like, it eventually becomes rewarding. But there's this huge gap before that happens. So here's one of my favorite quotes on this topic, is conviction without experience makes for harshness. And it's harsh. I love music, okay? So here's me playing on stage at our CD release party, and we had a solo show at the Silver Dollar. It was a lot of fun. But it was not always this fun. When I first started learning music, started playing guitar, started singing, I was awful, right? Nobody wants to hear average singer. Worse, nobody here wants to hear a bad singer. That's why karaoke, people laugh at it, right? So when you first start learning music or doing something really hard like sculpture, everything you create is going to be bad. And it's not going to feel rewarding playing music when it's bad, right? So you're going to have to work at it. And it's going to take some time before it becomes rewarding. And so in anything worth pursuing, there's always going to be that gap. When you first start breakdancing, it's not pretty, right? So you guys got to realize that you'll find your passion through doing this. And passion is practical. I've been in an indie band since high school, and I've learned to do everything myself. And that has helped me a lot in my field of work in startups and working with small companies, is that I'm not afraid to pick up an amp, move it, email everybody that I have to, book shows, record, write, do all the marketing, do all the emails, do everything, do accounting, right? So those are transferable life skills, right? Something so in whatever you do, there's always going to be those connections for you. So if you work hard and you do things well, those become transferable skills, right? And another thing was that I was very fortunate to have a good music education. I had lots of fun in grade school, elementary school, high school, with lots of smart mentors that helped me out, and that has been a huge part of my life as well. So, if you want to change the world, if you want to do something impactful, it's David versus Goliath. And that's what it's like to be in an indie band and to be in a startup, okay? You are taking on giants, right? You are in a sea, alone by yourself, trying to change something that looks immovable, but this happens all the time. So if you have the passion and you know how to work hard, then you will see the destination and you will have the feedback system in place to make you passionate and make you feel like you can achieve this, and then you will keep swimming. And that's extremely, extremely important to me. And hopefully it's important to you as well. Whoop, oh, gotta go forward. All right, I went forward to go backwards. So here I was in 2002, and now here I am. I'm only a few years older than a good bunch of you, so hopefully what I am telling you right now inspires you to take the same leaps of faith and take the same steps that I do. And personally, I'm still on this path, and I hope to emulate some of the other great speakers and other great people that you're going to hear from today. If there's one thing you can take away from TEDx is that the future is unwritten, okay? Joe Strummer is one of my idols because he believed in people. And you guys already took the first step in coming here, right? The first step, the part where it doesn't feel like there's a reward, is the hardest. And you guys are doing that. Hopefully today gives you guys enough reward for you guys to be more passionate. Because we live in a generation where technology is completely changing the way we exist and interact, okay? People identify you by your online profile. What is that? Okay, so, and like some of the other speakers mentioned earlier, we are in a time of crises. Things are changing, so it's up to you to have the passion and to figure out what you like to do, because if you follow down that path and you work hard, even if you do something as different as tech and music and mashing them together, you will have the chance to change the world. So thank you very much for having me.